Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. Okay, this is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika, and I am doing a review for Sistas. Okay, season 3. Y'all. Season 4, episode 7. Okay, moving on up. And we start off this episode, of course, where we left off. Andy comes in the house. She running all around like a chicken with her head cut off and saying, "What the hell is going on? Where's my stuff?" She calls downstairs. She's like, "Who is this?" And they like, "This is Randy, the doorman." Like, "Oh, congrats." And she's like, "Congrats on what?" He's like, "Your new apartment. You bought the penthouse." And she was like, "Wait, excuse me? I'm confused. Like, what are you talking about?" And he was like, "Is this not true?" She was like, "Randy, where are my things? Like, who came in my house and moved my stuff?" He was like, "Everything got moved to the penthouse." And she was like, "Well, who told y'all to move my stuff?" He was like, "The super moved it." She was like, "Is this a prank?" And he was like, "No, ma'am." He was like, "I was told that you bought the penthouse and you would be selling your place." And he was like, "Should I bring up the keys?" And so she's like, "What are you talking about? How did you get into my apartment and get my things?" He was like, "Well, whenever you get another apartment, that's what they do. They move the other stuff. We was told by Mr. Robinson, the building manager." And so she's like, "Well, nobody thought to ask me about it." He's like, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought they talked to you." And he's like, she tells him they didn't. And so she's telling him, yes, it is a problem. And she was like, "You know what? I'm just going to call Mr. Robinson." So then he tells him, "Well, I can have him come to your apartment because he's already on your floor." And so she's like, "Okay, good. Yes, please send him to my apartment right now." And he's like, "Yes, ma'am." And so when she hangs up with him, she's standing around like, "What the hell?" And I don't understand why it takes her so long. She's like, the penthouse or whatever, and just thinking for a minute. And then I think it finally clicks to her. She's like, "You gotta be freaking kidding me." And at this point, she gets a knock at the door. It's Mr. Robinson coming in saying congratulations, telling her she got a great deal. She's like, "I did." He's like, "Yes, you got a real good deal. You got it for $3 million, and we probably could make an even better deal with selling your place down here." And so she's just essentially repeating every daggone thing that he say behind him, like, "I did, you did. Oh, I can, you can." And so, I guess she's supposed to be in shock, and he was telling her that she practically stole it, and that something got moved from escrow. So he was like, "Now all I need you to do is just sign off on the paperwork." And she was like, "Can I get back to you on that?" And he was like, "Okay, sure, no problem." And he was like, "But like, let us know when you ready for everything or whatever." So he was like, "Sure." And so, of course, like I said, she's basically like, she's confused out of her mind as to what the hell is going on and how all her stuff got moved. And then she basically, once he leaves, stops and says, "What the hell is Gary up to?" And at the same time, the doorman calls back her phone and lets her know that he's downstairs and can he send him up. And she tells him yes. And so Gary comes up to the apartment. And of course, she's basically, like, "What the hell is going on? Who told you to do this? How did you do this?" type of thing. And I already pretty much voiced my opinion on, number one, how I feel about Gary, and number two, how I feel about what he did. I don't find this romantic at all. But, it's Andy, and apparently this is all the things that, she's ever told him about that she likes. And according to her, when it came to the song he sung, and her getting surprises, he knew about that. When it came to the photo shoot with the wedding, remember, she was like, "Oh, that's exactly, the stuff that she told him about." And so with her, I guess it's, basically like he's fulfilling all her fantasies and everything that she ever mentioned to him before. Okay. And so he basically tells her like, "Well, I looked into it and I upped the game, and, I paid for everything but put it in your name." And I'm just still not fully trusting Gabby. I don't see no reason why we should. But until they show us otherwise. And she was like, "Well, you buying that penthouse is not gonna fix like the problems we have or make me just be able to come back to you." And he's like, "I know, but at least, I'm trying." And his raggedy ass is basically asking for another chance, y'all. That's what it boils down to. And she was like, "For what? So you could bring another crazy, therapist around, have another, person laid up in the bed again." And he's basically telling her, no, and trying to say that he's changed, and he was like, you're not gonna make this easy on me, and she was like, why would I? And she tells him that he didn't make it easy on her, and he was like, that's fair. So he was like, okay, fine. So she was like, well, I want my things back in my apartment. And he basically was like, you don't even want to see the place. And she's like, no, I don't. I guess she feels like if she goes up and see it, then it would probably be a good chance that, she would basically end up giving in. And she's like, I'm not gonna give in, Gary. And then, he's like, oh, you don't want nice things. And she was like, listen, I like to work to buy my own nice things, which I said that last week. She could basically afford to buy her own nice things. I mean, you're not supposed to want to try to buy a person. And so I don't think it's given what he thinks it's given. But nonetheless, she was like, I'm over it. I just want to move on and let go. And she was like, this is just making things worse by you keep doing these things. She's having a great experience with Robin. So she basically brings up Robin to him. And he's like, don't do that. And she was like, I mean it. It's been great. And so she was like, and he's not trying to buy me. And he has the money to do it, mind you, okay? And so he was like, I'm not trying to buy you. And she was like, well, what do you call it? And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm trying to tell you how sorry I am and that I've changed. And she was like, overnight. And so I was like, yeah, it takes a little bit more than that, Gary. You want this quick, fast, and in a hurry stuff. And then he still is saying give him another chance. And basically, Andy, please, 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 I'm begging you down on my knees, okay? No, but he was like, I'm just need another chance. And she was like, I'm done. And so he's still going back and forth, and she basically was like, could you just get things back in my apartment? And he was like, okay. She was like, all right, and you could go now. He was like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. She was like, good. So at this point, the girls come walking in, and they see him there, and he talking about, oh my God, and they just standing all around looking like they her bodyguards or whatever the case may be. And he's still trying to talk to her. And he's like, let's just talk. And she was like, no, we're done. And so here come Danny. Gary, bye baby, okay? She don't need to say it again. And Sabrina's like, I'll hold the door for you. And basically good night. And so he goes walking off, and they like, bye Gary. And he's like, good to see you ladies. And I don't even remember which one of them it was, but one of them tell him it's not good to see him. And so of course they asking Andy about what he was doing there, how did he get in, that he wouldn't be able to get upstairs without her letting him up. They like, what's going on? And so she's telling them like he just showed up, and she basically, they realize like, wait a minute, where's all the furniture? What's going on here? And she tells them like, about him buying the penthouse and the fact that he had all her stuff moved or whatever the case may be. And they like, what girl? Oh my God. They was like, listen, this man done went and bought you a damn place. And she like, yeah. So she was like, he had all my things moved. And of course they like, what do you mean he had all your things moved? They like controlling ass. And she like, yep, he basically brought it upstairs to the penthouse apartment. And they like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up, are you kidding me? Wow. And so she's like, nah, I'm not kidding, I'm not joking at all, I am dead ass serious, okay? And so they like, Andy, and she's like, what? She was like, listen, he bought the penthouse apartment in my name. He moved all the stuff, without me knowing, in some cash escrow apparently, and all they needed for me to sign. And I didn't know about this, which she didn't. So they was like, oh wow, okay. So Sabrina and Danny is basically curious. Danny's like, so the penthouse is in your name, he paid for it. She like, yeah. She like, okay girl, all right, well what the hell, that's why we standing here, let's go upstairs. And so Sabrina talking about Danny focus. She was like, shoot, can I have this apartment? I would be a good tenant. And they telling her, Danny, stop it. She like, okay. And so Andy is just like, this is crazy. And they like, yeah. They was like, first the car, now this. And so Sabrina's like, what car? She didn't know nothing about the Rose. So they start telling her about how he had bought her a Rolls Royce, and Danny is just like, what? Oh God, that's what I'm talking about. She was like, how y'all ain't telling me about this? She was like, I might have to rethink Gary, and so might have to reconsider this gentleman, making jokes. And then Karen is like, no, no, no. And she was like, well, you always say that you can't have nobody trying to buy you or whatever, and then Danny's like, yeah, you right, I do say that, but when they buying it and they putting it in your name, now that's different, okay? It's in her name. And so she was like, excuse me, she's like, you're not listening, baby. It's not in your name, then you don't let him buy it. But if it's in your name, you take that. She was like, it's an Andrea Barnes, right? Okay, then we ain't got a problem, because Andy basically tells her, yeah. And so Karen was like, basically saying, she was saying to Karen, it's not what it looks like. But Danny was like, what are y'all talking about? Come on, we moving on up like Georgia and Weezy, okay? And so they keep saying Danny stop. But I mean, Danny ain't lying with saying that. But still, I wouldn't want to take anything with concerning Gary, because I feel like that would just be something that he would hold over her head. And like he could take it back anytime. Even with him saying that he put it in her name, I just still don't trust him 100%. So anyway, having said all of that, she was like, I did tell them to move my stuff back down immediately, and they was like, good, that's the right thing to do. And they was like, well, why y'all talking? Let's go see it. And they saying, no, 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 we can't do that. Andy don't want to go up there because she don't even want to be tempted to see it, because then she probably wouldn't be able to say no. So, Danny like, well, can I go see it, for myself? And she told her all she got to do is press P for the elevator. So Sabrina's like, well, you know what? Let me just go with her to keep her company, or whatever the case may be, just so she don't get lost. And then Danny's like, good thinking. And them two leave and, basically just leave Karen and Andy down there. And so, Karen and Andy are just... Karen is telling Andy, okay, take the stuff. You know what I mean? He bought you the stuff. Take the stuff. Sell it. At least you can make money off of it. And if it is in your name, then it's yours to sell. And she was saying, she didn't want to continue to keep taking the stuff either. She didn't think that that would be a good idea. And Karen was also telling her, like, well, you do like nice things. And she was like, yeah, I do. Is there something wrong with that? And she was like, no, it's not. But in this case, the fact that you like nice things could, basically make you weak and make you be tempted to go back with him. And so Danny and Sabrina go into the apartment. They walk in and it's huge. And it's beautiful. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. This is a beautiful damn place, okay? They walk in and they like, are we in the lobby? They both run and jump on the damn bed. Together is something there that says play me or whatever, and they like, listen, I seen some drinks in here, was cognac on the table, let's get some. They looking all around, and it's like a spacious kitchen. There's a beautiful picture of her on the wall. I ain't gonna lie, like, the place is nice. And then they like, we have to go downstairs so we could tell them about this or whatever, and let's bring the drink and the glasses down with us and all of that good stuff. And so, at this point, Karen is hungry, and Andy goes to look in the fridge, and she's like, well, damn, because at first she was like, maybe it's something in here. She like, girl, they done took everything out my damn fridge, too. And she was saying that she getting thirsty and stuff like that. But she was like, anyway, girl, I'm sorry. I've been taking up all the time, with all this situation, when really we were supposed to be here to talk about you and whatever you had going on. So she was like, what is this about? What's really happening? What did you want to talk to us about? And she was basically like, I will tell you when the girls get back down, okay? Then, of course, she starts asking her if she spoke to Fatima, if she called her like she told her to. She's like, no, were you serious about that? She was like, yes, I already told you that I was serious about it. She was like, can you please call her and tell her to come? So at first, when she's going to call her, she goes in the other room to make the call and was ready to close the door. And she was like, well, why the hell are you going in the other room? And she was like, oh, because, I don't know how she's going to react and what she's going to say. And I really don't want to be in the middle of this or whatever. And I feel like I need to ask her about this, on my own. And, of course, when she goes in the room and closes the door to call Fatima, Karen talking about well, you in the middle of it, whether you want to be or not. Whatever, Karen. They then show Zach, and Zach is asking Fatima what she wants to talk to him about, and she's basically like, she could wait on that or whatever. And she was like, well, what you got going on? And he lets her know that, the place is going to be ready to move in soon, and that basically she could go ahead and not pay this month's rent, okay? I guess he ready for her to move up in there with him, okay? And then Andy calls in the middle of them talking, and she says, give them a minute. And, of course, Andy is asking her about coming there to see Karen. And she's like, I don't know about that. Why would I want to do that? And then she's, of course, repeating it so that Zach could hear that she's saying that, Karen wants her to come there. And at first she's like, well, what the hell Karen want me to come there for? And Andy's like, I have no clue. But then it dawns on Fatima, of course, the pregnancy. So she's like, oh, I have an idea why. And then Annie's like, you do? Because I don't know what the heck is going on. And she's like, yeah, I do. She was like, let me go ahead and talk to Zach and I'll get back to you and let you know whether I'm going to come or not. And then Annie tells her, okay, text me. So, of course, when she's telling this to Zach, Zach at first is like, no, why? What? For what reason? What the hell does she want, you to come for? He's like, nah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to play the games. I don't want the drama. You know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be a fresh start. This is me and you. He was like, that's completely the opposite way that I want to go. What is she wanting to talk to you about? And Fatima's like, I don't know. But what I'm thinking is that if this is your baby, and he was like, it is. And she was like, no, like I said, if this is your baby, then she may want to talk about, the foundation that she wants and us having to co-parent and me being in the baby's life too. You know what I'm saying? Which would be understandable. She was like, is she, like, do you feel like she's grown on that level and mature on that level that she would want to have that type of conversation? And at first he was like, no. And then he was like, look, sometimes she can be or whatever. And he was like, oh, shoot, as a matter of fact, that's probably why she did come by the house one day. And so, of course, Fatima snaps into a whole nother mode where she's just like this, staring at him, not breathing, not moving, nothing. Zach is going, hey, what's going on here? Hello, hello, everything okay? Fatima, you still there? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm just taking it all in. So she came by the house for what now? And he's like, well, basically one day she came by the house and was telling me how some official has been coming around the shop looking for me. And she was like, oh, really? She was like, well, that's even more of a reason for me to go ahead and stop by there and see who this official is and what she's talking about and get to the bottom of it. At first, Zach was asking her, like, do you feel you should go? Do you want to go? Are you comfortable with going? Because he was like, are you asking me my permission? And she was like, yes. And he was smiling at that at first, but he was really saying, like, it's up to you. And she said, yeah, she did think that she should go. And she was like that she was going to go ahead and change her clothes before she goes. So he was like, you look beautiful. You don't need to change your clothes. Because she talking about, oh, well, she may need to put some jeans on just in case she going to get jumped. And then he asked her if she got her gun in her bag. And she was just like, always, of course I do. And so he's like, oh, Lord, this damn, lady or whatever. So when we see Andy again, she's getting off the phone with Gary and saying, okay, thank you. And she tells, Karen again, like, this doesn't mean she's taking him back, that she just finished having another conversation with him, letting him know she wants her stuff right back in her damn apartment, again or whatever. And Karen is basically like, are you okay with this? And she's telling Karen, stop asking me that. Like, I am okay. I'm not going to take him back. I'm not being weak like that. She was like, well, like I said, just reiterating, like, I do know that you like nice things and that he's giving you the things, that you always talked about and things that you into. And she was like, yeah, that's true, but I could buy myself nice things. And I like, the fact of knowing that I was able to get myself different stuff. And so then at this point, Danny and Sabrina had came back down, and they're basically like, girl, you gonna want to see this place. I'm telling you, gonna want to see this. And they got the drinks with them, and they drinking, and they saying they need to celebrate. And Danny just keep going, and she like, girl, you think you want a sister wife? She was like, well, my damn ex. She was like, honey, I'm trying to tell you, like, it is something else up there. And so, of course, Karen is against it. She's the only one that's really against it. Like, nah, she don't need to see it. I don't need to go up there. Because at one point, they was like, well, we don't even have nowhere to sit. We ain't got nothing to eat. You can't drink nothing, whatever. And she was saying, well, we didn't used to have nothing when we was in college. We could go ahead and sit on the floor. And she was like, I don't want to go up there. And so, she was saying, like, damn, how did y'all even get in the place? And she was like, we press P, like you said. And she was like, that worked. I didn't know that would work for real. She was like, you didn't need a key or anything. And they was telling her, that might end up being a security issue that she may want to go ahead and look into. And so they still offering Karen drinks. Karen is still saying no. They still going preacher, preacher, preacher. And they was like, next thing you know, she won't wear tight jeans. She won't be wearing short dresses or any of that. And so Andy tells them, stop it, because they was like, no more makeup, no more cursing, shit, no more sex. And she was like, okay, look, she gets it. And she was like, she invited us here to talk to us. So can we please let her vent and, get it off her chest what she want to tell us? And at this point, I'm like, yes, please do. Like, don't tell me we got to go another damn episode before we find out about Andy and this damn pregnancy, okay? And so basically they was like, come on and tell us. They was like, a matter of fact, let's go upstairs, that way you could see the apartment at the same time and she could tell us whatever she wanted to tell us, because you gotta see this. And of course she keeps saying no, she don't. And then she's finally like, you know what, well, we did get curious about the rose, and we did take a joyride in that. And of course Danny and Sabrina's like, oh yeah, okay, y'all did a little something something and joyride in the rose. And so she was like, oh, well, because Karen was telling them, yeah, and his controlling ass had us tracked down too. And so here go Andy talking about, oh, if you going to tell the story right. You're not telling them the whole thing. And she started telling them what she didn't know. Danny took the words out of my mouth. The story was just making it sound even damn worse. She's like, oh, these guys dressed like cops. And Sabrina's basically like, that's illegal, pulled us over in a cop car, okay, and started singing. They scared the living hell out of us first, though. But they start singing this song, and she was like, how did the song go? And Karen is like, I don't know. She was like, you know how the song went. And then here go Andy, I'm sorry and I want you back, girl. I'm sorry and I want you back, girl. It was cute. And I'm like, girl, wasn't nothing cute about that. And Sabrina and freaking Danny is just cringing, like, this is not helping you, okay? And so anyway, they like, yeah, no, okay, but they still like, we should go upstairs and let you see it, or whatever the case may be, and get to whatever the hell this is that Karen has us here for. And so she was again reiterating to them, he remembered my dream car, he remembered the place I wanted to live in and how I wanted it. She was like, it goes so much deeper than, just him buying the things or whatever. And so they started saying, well, maybe you don't want to see it then, And they was like, look, it is beautiful. We cannot lie. But they start telling Danny she needs to stop drinking. And she was like, oh, no, girl, I can handle it. All right, I'm good. And so she was like, okay, Andy says, okay, wait, this is about Karen. We keep getting off the topic. Come on, tell us what's going on with you. And then, Danny's still talking about it's nothing to sit on, let's go upstairs. And then Karen is saying, Danny, no, we not going to go upstairs, okay? Don't do it. And she's like, okay, well, we're all just going to stand around here on our feet after we've been working all damn day. And Karen tells Andy, I'm telling you, this is not going to be a good idea. And she was like, I have something to say. And so Danny's like, okay, well, come up with us upstairs and say it up there, okay? Grab your purses, get everything, and let's go. And so now they are all on their way upstairs to the penthouse, even though Karen did not want to go, okay? And we are still waiting for her to be able to reveal this damn pregnancy, okay? And so then, we have just Gary, Aaron, Zach, all of them out on the, basketball court playing basketball. I forgot whatever, Gary partner, whoever was that came last week and was Zach, he was out there too. And they playing ball, whatever have you. And as the game is ending, they like, how the hell, we all didn't know each other, because Gary notices that Zach and Aaron are giving funny faces or whatever. And they like, what's going on here? And he was like, oh, well, I'm with his ex Karen. And he like, wait a minute, Karen? He was like, Karen? Andy too? And he was like, yeah, I just found out today. And they asking him who his girl is. And of course, Zach is like, Fatima. And so for whatever reason, Zach and Aaron is having words back and forth. I didn't really understand this part. I don't see no reason for Aaron and Zach to have words back and forth, because at the end of the day, Zach, you with Fatima now and you're happy. It's like they trying to throw little cheap shots, and Gary is telling them to stop or whatever the case may be. And, Aaron talking about, oh, well, I don't think you was lasting long at all from what Karen said. And then, Zach talking about, oh, Karen's still out here lying. And, then he was like basically saying he was gonna leave. Then he changes his mind and was like, no, I think I got one more game. So it's like if him and Aaron is ready to get into it and battle it through basketball, okay, over these damn women or whatever, I don't know. And so the Gary ends up interrupting that, and he's like, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And he's like, "Well, damn, did Fatima say anything bad about me? If she said anything bad, don't pay her no mind because she hates me, and all the other girls hate me." And so Zach is like, first of all, she ain't that type of chick. She didn't even mention nothing to me except that your business was good. And he was like, oh, well, listen to her about that, because Fatima did tell Zach that she ran a check on Gary and that check did come back good. Okay, so maybe it is legit with him as far as his business, but Gary just still got shystiness in his blood, so I still just cannot, trust him 100%. And so basically, he's like, well, do you think you could talk to Fatima for me? And he just was saying, like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, what did you do? Because, they not going to just come like that for no reason. You really had to do something. And he was like, one thing about those girls, they are ride and dies and they will stick together. And so he first tells him about the fact that he was still married. He was like, oh, God, are you crazy? Whoa, or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I messed up with that. Then he realizes that him and Andy is still not together now. And he's like, yeah, I messed that up. And I'm really trying to work on getting her back. I've been doing everything that I can. And so he was like, if you could put in a word with me, with Fatima, about, Andy or whatever, I could help you, because I've been hearing some stuff that is some people looking into you, and these are the wrong people asking the right questions. And so Zach at first is like, oh, word, you could help me, like you would help me if I help you out with Andy. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, shoot, so you would, make sure everything is good with my stocks if I help you with Fatima? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. He was like, get the hell out of here, are you crazy? He was like, yo, you a grimy ass dude. He was like, you out here playing games, what the hell you think this is? You think I'm some type of pimp? How the hell would I do that with Andy? Because he was already saying no previous to this, like, look, I don't get into the middle of stuff, and when I go home, the last thing I'm gonna want to be doing is talking about you and damn Andy, you know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm going home interested in doing. And so, it still pretty much was cool, but it was on some, now I don't get in the middle of stuff. But then it went from that to him just feeling like, oh, so you wouldn't tell me that just to look out for me because you see some funny stuff going on, especially after you just finished telling me to put my money with your company, but you would basically want to try to bribe me into doing it, to getting help from you by hooking you up or fixing your relationship with Andy. He was like, yo, that's mad trifling. So he didn't want to hear nothing else that Gary had to say after that point. And I can't blame him for that. He basically was like, yo, how would you, do something like that? How could you say some shit like that to me? And at first, Gary's telling him, you got it wrong, I didn't mean it like that. And he's like, wait, don't leave, chill, it ain't gotta be like that. And basically, Zach is like, man, get your slimy ass out of here. So I was kind of glad that Zach went in on his behind a little something. And so then they all finally went up to the penthouse to see it. Of course, Karen is not impressed with it. She's still just looking around. But Andy is like, oh my God, this is mine. Oh my God, this is mine. And Danny is going, it's yours, girl. And she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And Danny like, girl, I'm crying with you too. I love it too. It's beautiful or whatever, and it was beautiful. There's no denying that. The place is nice, okay? And so, they just walking around and she panting and, breathing and crying and looking all crazy, mouth open and just saying, oh my God, 20,000 times. And, Danny's like, shit, girl, I'm crying too. This is some good shit. And she was like, girl, oh my goodness. Like, there's a room in here for me to move in here with you. And, they all looking out the painting on the wall and all of that different kind of stuff. And she was like, it's beautiful, right? And she was like, yeah, I know, girl, it is. And ain't no denying that, okay? And so, they like, what is it, Andy? And of course she just talks about that it's more than just the place. And she was like, girl, listen, it's okay if it's the place because this is some impressive shit. She was like, man, he surprised me with things that was like from my favorite movie and remembered all the details and the colors. And so, Danny was basically saying, yeah, that part is a little, a little creepy, to be honest. And she was like, he remembered everything. And so Danny's like, girls, I think we lost the battle, and I think you did too, okay? And so Karen is talking about, do you remember everything he said to you? And then, Sabrina's like, Karen, and she was like, what? And she was like, she needs something to balance this beautiful out. And she was like, I don't think she could ever forget that, okay? And so Jay was like, well, anyway, Karen, you wanted to talk. Come on, let's talk. And I don't want to talk here. Like, Karen, doesn't matter with how you talk. I wish you would tell these damn ladies what you came to tell them already, okay? Because you really could have had them come to your damn house and then none of this wouldn't happen. At least not right now. And we would have already had your pregnancy reveal, okay, girl? And so then they go, in the living room, and she throwing herself on the couch, and they was like, just let her enjoy herself for a second. And they still trying to pour some more damn wine, even though they got cognac that they ain't damn finished drinking. Danny's like, she's gonna look for some more glasses. It's time to celebrate. And so, Andy's like, yes, I want a glass, and make sure you give Karen one too. She got a drink too. And she's like, oh, look at this view. It's so beautiful. She was like, everything looks beautiful, whatever, and it's perfect lighting, it's perfect everything. And so, they like, oh my gosh, pour. And so, of course, when they saying that Karen needs a drink too, she's like, I can't drink. And they like, why not? And she's like, because I'm pregnant. And I'm like, finally! Okay, finally, it has happened to me. Like, finally, you finally said it, bitch. Okay, we've been waiting forever. So that was how the episode ended, y'all. Karen has finally told them Fatima is on her way. So what do y'all think is going to go down? Do y'all think that Andy is keeping this daggone penthouse? What do y'all think is going to be said between Fatima and Karen? Put it all in the comments. Let's discuss. Okay, this was a right episode. Like, share, subscribe. Till next time. Talk to y'all later. Toodaloo.